makes sense stuff. So happy Tuesday, very first. And hope you're all fine. And thanks for coming. Thanks for taking time. And today we are here because we have to speak about NFT ecosystem and community. The wildest of all Cardano communities and ecosystems, I'd say, environment where everybody knows that. Bunch of initiatives, bunch of projects work in silos. It's pretty difficult to find, let's say, a common alignment or some common, let's say, agreement on things which are needed and on things but not which can be done, and on things on how could we do what is needed then. Means in this regard, for example, speaking, for example, about standards and whatnot, very often what we see in the NFT ecosystem is that each marketplace, each platform develops their own standards to simply find solutions to the problems they face. The problem then is that you have a bunch of different, let's say, standards, but not really a common one where everybody can say, hey, cool, there are some values where everybody could say, hey, okay, this is important, and this is what we want to have implemented as a standard and whatnot. And this conversation here is mainly simply to kick it off and to say, oh, okay, what do we have for perspectives and insights from the different parts of the NFT ecosystem and community? What could we identify for challenges which are important and matter to all of us? And what could be done to solve those issues without asking anybody to engage too much? Because the problem is all of you are very, very busy already for good reasons. And none of the people here has a lot of, let's say, time available to once again start a new project or whatnot. And this is all what the NFT Guild is about. Try to capture the common challenges for the NFT community and ecosystem in general, not for specific marketplaces. And to say then, okay, what can we do for those folks to define solutions and to address effectively those issues by outsourcing what they need through the NFT Guild to the community, mostly via Project Catalyst. That means there's a, let's say, common issue gets wrapped in a proposal, gets submitted via Project Catalyst, and the NFT Guild coordinates those issues. And why we need you is, I think you're pretty important players within the NFT ecosystem currently. Each of you are highly engaged and committed and built his own success within this ecosystem. And you have a huge expertise and experience. And those expertise and experience is really needed when, let's say, defining common issues. And very first to this point, what do you think about? Is something that like this useful? Could it be helpful? Or is it simply something where you could say, oh, okay, it sounds fancy, but sorry guys, no time for this?
I think it sounds useful. You know, you said it very well. We all don't have time, at least most of the people. What I really like actually is, you know, that Sebastien from dcSpark is now getting paid to be a CIP editor through Catalyst. I think that's one of the best things that Project Catalyst has ever funded. And it would be probably pretty smart to have something like that for, you know, NFTs, just some dedicated person who's getting paid for what they do, who's kind of representing all of us and can just go in there, write CIPs, write standards, and really think about them. And yeah, and we kind of trust that person and don't really have to be super engaged in the day-to-day stuff.
It's a really nice example, which then brings us to the problem. Okay, once, let's say, a CIP is done, then it's anyway up to the marketplaces and the platforms to implement those to their, let's say, platforms. And I think this is really something where simply communication can help a lot. Simply being aware already about, hey, what is going on? Because very often we have the problem, each of us is very focused on its own projects. And well, the NFT ecosystem is a hell of an ecosystem, and it's a hell of difficult to catch up with things and with initiatives. So to also say, for example, exactly what you said, Patrick, to find a way to also, okay, really funnel and stream, let's say, thoughts and ideas which are really needed. In the very best case, we would be able to define a process which is able to survive us, because I really think that we are all here also for a reason to say, hey, we are part of this ecosystem for several reasons, not only for pixels on screens. Many have much higher ambitions, let's say. And well, we all believe somehow also in decentralization, I think, and saying, hey, okay, we want to establish really new formats with the blockchain in general, with the blockchain technology. Then also to say, we don't want to create an aristocratic circle here, which then just pulls, let's say, really important minds together and just, let's say, set some weird power play in place. I think the main goal would really be to say, hey, we want to define a process, and we as participants pioneering this process, but what we really need is a functional process which is able then to identify problems, communicate them to the community, and address the solution and build solutions to them. Which means in the very best case, what we do here would be on the very beginning, something like a recurring thing, something like each 2 weeks or once a month, simply coming together, having calls about things and stuff. And somebody's joining, sorry. And from there, moving ahead step by step. But I just want to make sure that here it's not about getting some fancy people in the board and to make some weird decisions behind closed doors. That's the reason also why we want to record this here. The main goal is also, okay, to make this here a public thing then to say, okay, those meetings are recorded, are uploaded, and let's have the community already discussion around it. And what we do is already hinting in this direction to say, hey, community, align, communicate, coordinate with each other for those tools the community and the ecosystem needs in general.
Felix, do you think, I guess there's already the SIP process kind of in place for how new standards are adopted, right? So do you think that putting together some sort of framework for like publicizing or marketing the SIPs process, is that kind of the idea, to make sure that like everyone's communicating and the greater Cardano community is aware of the SIP process and what might be happening in the world of NFTs?
To this, I just try to be the facilitator of these conversations. I don't have any strong thoughts about anything. I really rely to your opinion and your perspective, guys. So I think you have much better ideas for your question already than I would have.
I think like one potential benefit could be, right, that if there is discussion going into it from some of the stakeholders and ideally, you know, people from the wider community as well, like then, you know, there's more chance that the CIPs are actually going to be adopted by as a standard by everyone, or at least, you know, a large part of the market. So that's, you know, otherwise it's just like we can implement these CIPs, but you know, they need to be, or we can get them through, but they need to be adopted to be effective, right? So that's, I don't know, is that, am I under the right track with that, or that line of thinking? Or?
Definitely one of them, for example. And also to give it a little bit more style, what we are doing here, because I think a lot of folks in the call know each other already by name, but some don't. And when we speak with folks, it's mostly really great to know, oh, okay, who the fuck are you? Where are you coming from? And would love to give everyone a short pitch, just maybe take 20, 30 seconds, something to introduce yourself. But if it's fine for you. Do it, Patrick.
I start?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay,
now.
sorry. Yeah, you have to give directions. Yeah, I'm Patrick. I minted a few NFTs. I made NFT Maker. I was one of the co-authors of the royalty standard, actually. Maybe that's interesting. because I think only Mateja was also there when we made these royalty standards. So a lot of the people that set these up early before smart contracts aren't even here. So that's something interesting to note. Yeah, that's it. Should I give it to someone else, or what's the plan?
There's no plan, just do something.
Okay, Peter.
All right, yeah, my name is Peter Wolcott. I'm a Swarm veteran, so I've been hanging out in Catalyst. I'm also on the CC admin team to help coordinate that experiment. On the back end as a secretary. I'm kind of a community manager inside Project Catalyst in a very loose sense of the term. Thank you.
Yeah, what? Go for it.
Was that me? Sorry, I heard Mateja.
Yes, it's like in fucking school, you know, you're a teacher, you point to people, like, so why me? Just pass it over.
Kidding, no. I'm Mateja. I'm the co-founder of Artano, which is an NFT marketplace for one-on-one NFTs. We work with artists and focus on like high quality NFTs basically, and that's pretty much it in like a really short introduction. Tyler's there. Let's go with Tyler.
Hey guys, I'm Tyler. I've been kind of lurking around Catalyst since 2020 in November, I think is when I first kind of started participating. I'm currently working with Emurgo and getting the FIBO marketplace built out, which is the Emurgo NFT marketplace.
Anthony, I just go with the line now. So Anthony, Pierre, Jeremy, Nathaniel, Samuel, and
So I'm Anthony. I'm the co-founder of ArgusNFT. My partner and I are basically, it's a protocol that uses machine learning to help verify the minting history of NFTs. And the point of it is essentially to provide a solution for the verification of the NFTs themselves, but we're also really interested in kind of creating a gold standard for artist and project verification too. So
and Pierre.
Hi everyone. My name is Pierre Kaklamanos. I'm a partnerships manager at the Cardano Foundation, focused on community-based projects. And my relationship to this NFT Guild is that at the Cardano Foundation, we are very much supporting these kind of initiatives to try to structure our space. Myself and Jeremy Firsterh here, we would like to very much move forward and engage more community members in this NFT Guild. So this is why I have invited some of you here today, and I'm hoping that in the future, more and more community members will be willing to join as well. So yeah, that's it for me.
And Pierre, Jeremy, are you there?
I am here. Hello. As Pierre just said, I'm Jeremy Firsterh, Head of Partnerships and Executive Officer at Cardano Foundation. And I fully echo what Pierre has said. I truly see a lot of value in communities coming together for focused groups to help drive forward the development of the Cardano ecosystem. And especially as I have a focus myself on the layer 1 capabilities of Cardano. And when I see where in the global map can Cardano become a category leader, it's within tokenization. And I do think it's quite early days, but there's been a lot of great advancements done by many of you here and many people not here. I think everyone should be proud of all of that, but if you really think about the tech stack of Cardano and how we have this positioning to say we want to be a true global land financial operating system. Tokenization is a huge part of that. And NFTs is really the segment where we focus on deployment and getting that market feedback almost instantly to understand like what solutions actually work for people. So thank you, Felix.
Thanks, Pierre. And then Nathaniel.
Well, hi. Yeah, I'm Nathaniel. I work at MLabs. I've worked on a whole bunch of different NFT marketplace type projects, like the PlayerMint project, the Split World project, Centaurify. And so I guess that's kind of, I got involved with Cardano back in October, and yeah, that's honestly more or less all you need to know about me.
Thanks, man. And then I think Samuel and at least Anamaria and Ravish.
Hi.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm Sam. I'm over from MLabs with Nate. I was kind of involved with Nate when we were designing some of the early NFT marketplaces that he discussed. I've also recently taken over project management for a kind of unique marketplace idea we've come up with called Seabug. I'm still a little bit new on that project, so might not be able to answer all questions about it, but I think it's very cool. It does things in a very Cardano way rather than kind of like a traditional Ethereum way of just like you have a token and you send it somewhere. It's a neat project, but yeah, that's me.
Thanks a lot, Samuel. And last one, Anamaria and Ravish.
Yeah, hi. We're New Mindflow, also known outside of the digital space as Raresh and Anamaria. We're filmmakers by trade, but we've left that space a long time ago. And now we are NFT artists and NFT project creators, managers, and everything that needs to be done.
Yeah, so we've been involved with the Cardano NFT space, I think, since late February last year. All through different organizations and Catalyst as well, since kind of the same time. And we've launched 2 projects. In the meantime, we're now actually working with Tyler and FIBO. We know Tyler since those early days, and we're now actually working with them as Genesis artists for their upcoming marketplace launch. And we've been involved with this group here, with the NFT Guild, since January, and we're trying to provide the group with some perspective from the actual NFT space, and also trying to get things organized around a few of projects that the NFT Guild has been working on.
And
I think we're missing Cent.
Yeah.
Exactly, Cent and Stephen.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm part of the stakepool and a developer. Have been part of this NFT guild since the startup, and the most relevant thing about me in this regard is that we have a metadata search engine and explorer that we provide to the community. And as part of this explorer, we also have a way of verifying signatures according to public keys on the Cardano mainnet. So very glad to be here and to meet you all.
And Stephen Wittenstein.
Thanks, Vince. Yeah, I'm Stephen Wittenstall. I've been involved in Catalyst since March of last year, and I got funded for a proposal called Quality Assurance DAO in Fund 5. That's my background in quality assurance and program management and technical project management and test program management. And I've been doing a lot of documentation projects in the community, quite a lot of governance projects, documentation and project management, and research and development of community governance issues. And I'm also interested in like blockchain standards that we could possibly develop together so that we can advance our community. So I look forward to working with people here.
Nice. So that's been all, I think.
After calling out everybody, now it's your turn, Felix, as I don't think you went.
I'm Felix, I'm the happy one. My job is mostly just to bring people together and let's try to figure out stuff together instead of going alone. And that's what I do full-time since 1.5 years on Cardano now, I'd say, through a bunch of different projects. And yeah, so we see already we have a really nice mixed group where we can have a really nice perspective and insights from a bunch of different, I would say, really important parts. And now the agenda says something about whatnot. Well, there isn't really an agenda. So let's mostly say, now it's open. So we don't have any plan how to move forward from here. Because I think everything what should be decided by this group together. And with that.
Felix, so what is going to be your role? Are you going to organize these meetups basically once a month or so for us and invite everyone, or like who is going to do that?
This would be mostly really the NFT Guild in general, who would take charge of hosting the events, also recording them, adding timestamps to them, sending them out to the community, having a conversation around and have a look, okay, how can we get the community involved in this discussion? So like said, we don't want any of the folks here taking again more stuff on their shoulder. And this is pretty much what we are funded for with the NFT Guild as well, right? So we have proposals in to develop tools and standards and things and stuff. And what we have here now is really also to try to say, okay, when we want to set up any verification tools or standards with the NFT Guild, what is the legitimacy of this? The legitimacy of this is having your minds already here, using these conversations to send it out to the community, structure communications around, and having there the feedback then which defines everything on how those standards should look like in coordination and collaboration with you, so that we can make sure, okay, each and everyone's interests are well reflected and represented in whatever might come out of this initiative.
Okay. Like I'm thinking about what kinds of standards we might need in the future for NFTs, because the reality is, like, no matter what we decide here or what the community decides, the best way to set a standard is by making it and using it, and that's exactly what Alessandro did, and that's the biggest strength of Cardano, that we have a 7-to-1 standard which everyone is following. That's not the same as on Ethereum, where the marketplaces have different standards sometimes, and it was made because Alessandro just did it, and the same goes for the royalty standard. It might not be perfect, but at least we have a royalty standard that pretty much everyone is following now. If we had waited for something to come out after smart contracts, then we probably wouldn't have that. So it's like simplicity is the most important thing, so that everyone can follow all the standards, and keeping the amount of standards to a minimum is also super important, and especially not changing them afterwards, like keeping them as open as possible, so that you can do everything with them, basically. Like with the 7-to-1, you can add whatever you like, all file types, all traits, or whatever. But if we were to go and say, okay, we want to have this specific standard for this specific thing, and then some random project doesn't follow that standard, then we have trouble. So I would be extremely careful with any types of standards. Like the more we introduce, the less easy the entry barrier is.
it's good that you brought up those two specific standards, because it's very clear that one actually became a standard while the other one mostly exists on paper, so to speak. And I'm referring to the royalty standard, because as I'm sure you know, jpg.store, who has currently 95% of the market, is not following the royalty standard. So it's not really a standard in that case.
They're following it to some degree. I mean, they have their own system, but they also pay out royalties for people that are using standard, right? So, I mean, they are in a way following it. They are not following it directly, because they don't look for the very first NFT minted or token minted in the policy, but they're just looking for the empty token. So in a way they are following it, but they want to be nice to creators who have created their NFTs before the standard. And that's why they also allow for, you know, just registering their NFTs there. So it, you know, it's going in the right direction, and they won't be able to, like, the system that they're using at the moment doesn't scale, like with all the projects having to register. If more, like, you have to have a token, you have to have something on chain, it doesn't work. And we should probably change the royalty standard at some point. And I know that MLabs is doing a lot of stuff there. So they, you know, it has to be a technological advancement, not necessarily a, I don't know, community decision, in my opinion.
So I can also add to that, because Artano is also having two standards. We have one, because we're a one-on-one marketplace, initially we didn't focus on policy IDs as much, because we knew every single artist, and then we had to scale and introduce the royalty, like the second royalty standard, basically, which said integrated into the metadata itself, right? And kind of using the limitations of token, like metadata that we have on Cardano to the fullest. So we had we have like a fallback, basically. If you have a one-on-one NFT, you want to mint a different, you want to have a different royalty, you can set it for a specific NFT, and then if this is not present, then it falls back to the original one. So yeah, I think MLabs, we should talk, and this is a great use of this time, I think, because if you're building something, then we should align probably. Yeah.
Yep, I think that would be good.
Yeah, but it's always about those two standards, right? If we fix the royalty standard, what's next?
Sorry, I don't want to jump in too much. We just received funding for Smart Mint, which is the first dynamic NFT minter on, at least one of the first, I don't know, dynamic NFT minters on Cardano. And I think standardizing how NFTs change over time, like if they are changing over time, is pretty important, because it's the next step in kind of creativity and what people can do on Cardano. And we have already async card on Ethereum. So I think if we want to be competitive, we should really think about standardizing this. You know, Artano has done this for a year now, but again, we don't want to push for our own, solution. If it's not ideal for everyone, then of course we should come up and talk about this. But this is a very niche, again, thing for NFTs, because I don't think there's much more to do when it comes to, I don't know, like when it comes to standardizing NFTs on Cardano, it's a pretty niche market, like part of the market as well. So a big one, but it's still, I don't know, not that big.
Especially about not defining a standard so tightly that it can't be adopted in the future. Keeping everything open is super important. And then there's lots of different things that can be improved. And I think one of the biggest decisions that can be made is like, what do we all want to focus on first? Do we want to focus on royalties? Do we want to focus on like maybe a way to get artists all verified? Maybe a verification standard would be something to explore, because I think right now you can get verified like on different marketplaces, but you have to go through the process of kind of authenticating yourself on each marketplace to kind of get that check mark with a lot of places. And there's different types of verifications. One might be like, are you an Artano or a FIBO verified artist with that. But the other side of it is like, are you an authentic NFT? And the easy way to establish yourself as like an authentic artist.
We are actually
That make
something for that, Tyler. We're working on a CIP which integrates digital identity into the NFTs, basically, so that you can verify that you're an actual human and you connect all your social accounts and then store them in a token in a way, and then connect the token to the actual NFT collection, so that people can look up themselves if you're the real artist that you're saying in a decentralized kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah, together with a company called IMX, they're doing NFTs, but it will come out soon, and then it's open for discussion in the CIP process.
Yeah, so let's extend that conversation a little bit further. Right now, CIPs are mostly discussed at CIP editor meetings, and there may be some conversations within a Discord group that kind of pops open every once in a while. But then, does that information, stay somewhere somewhat central, right? So one advantage I see here with the NFT Guild is that if you wanted to increase the level of engagement in the reviews of these CIPs, then this group could be one of the focus groups where the editors can present, get feedback from people, and you can even see, who's using this SIP. So right now, when I'm seeing how SIPs are being written today, there's a couple missing sections. And the missing sections is to say, we presented this SIP at this event. So one day I would like to see actual, maybe even physical meetups. Like the Cardano Summit could be a great one. There could be these micro summits where SIPs surrounding NFTs are heavily being discussed, because that's really broad numbers of people, but also just on an electronic forum. If it was monthly or at some other cadence where you had that discussion. And when people start implementing it, you could actually have links to these projects that shows, as an example, here is somebody that's using this CIP. Also, when we start looking at value chains and verification systems, now we're going outside of the creation of NFTs. So we're looking at how does that information get shown onto an explorer? How does it get shown into a wallet? What's the UI that could be expected here? So I think that's this is a great area that yourselves as the NFT Guild could kind of help champion, is to bring out more awareness. And even for existing CIPs, I think that there are, oftentimes when you're creating a SIP, you do want to get this initial feedback on drafts. Maybe somebody has just an idea and they don't know how to write a SIP. So this could be a great group to kind of be like a sounding wall. I mean, if we look at the Discord channel today, there are already 175 members in this NFT Guild. Maybe not everyone's active every day, but we continue to collect people that are interested in the development of the NFT space. I think we get that added benefit of having a hive mind.
So then what would be, how would the next steps would look like for you? Because like mentioned already, you have a bunch of stuff to do already. Everybody here is highly respected, and we don't want to steal any of your time, because what you're actually doing is quite important already. But would you agree on saying, okay, Anthony?
Well, I just had one thought, and I think what might be useful is to have some working groups or groups of interest where we could have some breakout sessions, or basically brainstorm on different specific specific topics. Like my partner Giovanni and I are also really interested in this idea of kind of merging the project and artist verification process with the creation of a DID, because we think that's probably the way that kind of like project authentication is going. We did talk to IMX too, and it seems like they have a really great solution, but we'd love to be basically involved in kind of specific discussions of how to push that forward. But I know at the same time, it's going to be a lot for everyone to be part of every conversation. So maybe like we could have little focus groups that could focus on different areas. I don't know.
Anthony, sorry, do you mean curation like of legit artists or like projects or?
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be basically developing an identity, like Patrick would mentioned, linking a specific artist to, different socials accounts. But in the same way, it's interesting because I think that could be a component of project verification too, or collection verification, because you're showing that whoever minted this policy ID also also is the owner of all of these accounts. So it's almost, I don't know if it's not one and the same, obviously, because the identity could then extend beyond that collection, but they're definitely related, if that makes sense.
So I think the need for discussions is anyway there, and for a bunch of different deep and dark rabbit holes, I'd say. For a longer time frame, how does it fit for everybody to say, for example, would you be able to spare 1 hour each 2 weeks into a call like this one?
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely works for me.
Is the time and day, like right now, Tuesday, 15 UTC, is this something what works for everybody? Or some folks say, oh, this is a fucking hell of time. Sorry, can we find another slot? Because we have to keep in mind we are all across the globe. It's difficult to find a tight time zone that fits to everybody. So
it's good for me. This is good.
Good stuff.
Yeah, this is pretty much perfect for me.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So I suppose it's just for Jeremy a hell of a time, because it's something like 3 AM. Thank you.
Yeah, so so I guess some background is that a long time ago, there was a Twitter space talking about how on cnft.io, we had a guy who had a really big problem with getting themselves verified as an artist. And they couldn't like put the NFT on that marketplace. So I asked the question, well, what do you mean verify yourself as an artist? What about verifying your NFT? There was also before a long time ago this thing called Cardano mirrors, where people would take an NFT and make a new one but a fake one, right, and try to sell it for a discounted cost. And so we would tell everybody, check out the policy ID. What are you thinking? You have to look on chain to understand if this is legit or not, right? And look at our website and see the policy ID that it matches. And so I thought there must be definitely a better way to go about doing this. And it kind of sparked this conversation of a verification tool that may even become like a verification standard to see if there's an on-chain approach where we can automate this and figure out, is this an actual legitimate asset that a user is wanting to buy or wanting to list on a marketplace? And it sparked a lot of conversation. And I'm happy to see that from that came a lot of different competing solutions. And because you never know which one will work, especially in a decentralized ecosystem. there may be a few of these which can be adapted, or adopted. The point here is that this is kind of continuously driving the maturity of the space. So, and I'm really interested to see from this group of people if everyone else were to pose a similar type of question. You know, what type of results would come out of that? And you know, if that continues for 6 months, for 8 months, just how much more mature can the Cardano ecosystem become? Will I be attending this meeting at 11 p.m. my time or 11:40 p.m. my time? Probably not. You know, however, I am interested to see if, you know, if you leverage Discord, right? So I can respond to things not live, but like when it's at a convenient time for me, as well as other people around the world.
Another Discord.
Yeah, never enough. Oh my fucking God. Why is the whole Cardano ecosystem built on millions of Discords and Telegrams?
No, Jeremy's right. And, you know, for me, I would think it's a very good idea that we all come together. I think we're missing some key people in this ecosystem today, which we should include. I mean, you know, without jpg.store, we don't even, we can't even start a discussion, to be honest. It's like, I don't know, talking about Amazon selling and not including Amazon. Yeah, so we need to have them. We need to have someone from CNFT.io. We need to have, you know, maybe Adam Dean. We won't get Alessandro because he's too busy, you know, writing the standards himself. So yeah, that's like we kind of need to have the people that have built the stuff more. And once we have that, it's not only about standards. I think it's about tackling the problems that we face together. Like, for example, fiat payment. You know, Jeremy knows, and Pierre, that we are working with a company, but they are not integrating Cardano, or they haven't integrated Cardano. So we have like a weird workaround for fiat payment, which we will release very soon, where basically the artist receives their money in USDC in Polygon, and the NFT will be minted on Cardano. And it's all for the user, it's very easy, but it would be more ideal, of course, if the artist would be able to receive ADA. And what we have to do there is basically be enough people in the space to convince these platforms to integrate Cardano and stuff like this, like just the regular challenges that we have. And if everyone, you know, says what they've been working on for the last 2 weeks or so, very broadly, I think we can find a lot of partnership opportunities or stuff like that.
So this would be definitely also be one of the next steps. What we will do after the meeting, we will go through the meetings, adding some timestamps, sending you a rep as well on the whole stuff. And for example, identifying action items already, Patrick, like you said, okay, getting jpg.store, Adam Dean, and hopefully as well Alessandro on board. Because yeah. let us try. Let us try. Let's make some noise and say, hey guys, we need you, really. But yeah. Jeremy, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think that's actually a nice segue here to something that I've been wanting to talk about, which I think kind of helps people out. I try to find a common denominator within groups of people. And let me just share my screen here and chat about this, which hopefully is not too, I will not make it too long, right? So there's a topic about like project catalyst, and I have this view and some of the others at Cardano Foundation about earning or creating legitimacy. Now, many times people go through catalysts and they say, okay, if I'm going to try something, I'm going to start and finish here, and I need to see if people will vote on this. to, you know, add value to the Cardano ecosystem. And it's only a 3-month cycle. The NFT Guild can be persistent, and it could be much longer than just 3 months, and it can be a real source of knowledge that people look to for that legitimacy and understanding what it is, what are problems, and what are solutions. So, you know, right now, 175 people. If we kind of look into today, just this room, like who's here, right? We got NFT tools, people from just NFT projects, standards, ICO funding, catalysts, experts, marketplaces, looking at minting history, verification tools, DAOs, interoperability. There's a lot of different topics that goes into, you know, blockchains and the NFT space. And I'm wondering if we surveyed everybody, you know, how much more kind of like experts would we have in these certain niche topics? And, you know, problems emerge over time, right? So with Patrick, his first problem was not how do I integrate payments of different blockchains and also fiat payments, right? This becomes a problem for him to solve later on as he matures. And that is something that's kind of related to market infrastructure, right? So I take a look at, you know, Fund 9 challenges, and I ask myself, how many of these are related to NFTs? I know that the NFT specific challenge did not make it, but it doesn't mean that NFTs cannot influence all of these other challenges. But how does that influence happen? Who is going to, you know, put out these thoughts for people to look at? Right. So Catalyst always needs more and more and more stuff, right? It needs to have better participation, alignment, outreach, insights, and quality results. If it's only people looking in Catalyst and saying, I'm here, I start and I finish, then Catalyst becomes a segment. But if we had a way to say, well, actually, let's integrate Catalyst into what we are doing as a, you know, strong member of the community, then I think we can meet all of these needs or have better delivery. So I've kind of put Catalyst into some key stages, and I don't need to go probably through every one of them. I simplified it from 24 to like 10. But I just wanted to kind of show you, just kind of give you this idea of like actually how much time is available and what you could potentially do within that time. So the first kind of main thing here is about challenge team insights, which actually starts tomorrow, hopefully, if the schedule hasn't changed. And it ends on the 8th of June. But who's lobbying the challenge teams? Who is it that's really putting on the agenda to say, hey, for the challenge brief, can it be updated to include a segment on NFTs? Can there be like a roadmap where everyone hears what you're working on? Could that become some sort of like Excel spreadsheet even, or just to say, you know, here's the existing resources, here's what's being built, here are some defined value gaps. And really here for insights on submissions, if we had people from the NFT Guild reviewing submissions or even submitting submissions, right, and highlighting that, I think people can start to see like, okay, this is an NFT Guild submission, or this guy is in the NFT Guild. That's great. But all these blank days are empty days, right, on the calendar. So if you wanted to have some sort of side event to get the word out, you can do that, or you can join with definitely Felix's events, which I'm sure he will talk about later. Even in community assessment, it's a very long period of 2 weeks, plus a week for assessment flag. And when assessment is over, there could be a big focus on outreach, of going beyond the guild and going beyond Catalyst to reach other members of the community. I know Big Pay has been very outspoken about getting involved in Catalyst more. And there are tons of YouTubers out there who can help spread the message. And I believe if this was created by you, for you, then the impact would be much larger and the results would be much better in terms of reaching our fellow Cardanians. And then there's outreach too. We have voting. So there's even 2 weeks of voting, right? So a lot of people kind of wait until the last minute to kind of do something. But if it's planned out now, I really believe just with like a few key things that are planned in advance, good things can come of that, you know. But what I would be asking here for your consideration is really looking at, you know, if there's a group of people that want to augment Catalyst today from the guild, which could be anyone and everyone, right? Now, and endorsing your own group goals and figuring out what is the direction that we want to set within Fund 9. And also defining your own performance. So, you know, were we successful? Did we increase voter participation? Did we increase average votes? Or are we proud to see what has been voted on, right? Ultimately, the ecosystem is in your hands for how you see it being developed by members such as yourself, right? So that's just something I wanted to share with you. And maybe some of you have some immediate feedback. I can give you these slides as well. I'm happy to see if any of you have questions. I know a couple of you are really big into Catalyst right now. If I propose a question, it's, would it be advantageous for the NFT Guild to have a group of people try to be involved in growing the influence of the Guild within Catalyst over the next 3 months?
Definitely, but what I would see also is to say in this regard to NFT Guild and the people here in Catalyst to really make clear, okay, it's not from a startup perspective where you try to raise seed funds to kick off your project. It's really much more to say, okay, how can we include the governance process, which is emerged in the community interaction and participation, and to use this advantage. Because I think for the funds or whatnot, everybody can submit their own proposals, whatnot, but I think this shouldn't be that much a goal of the guild to say, how can we support participating projects by raising funds through Catalyst, but much more to say, okay, how can we use this governance model, which is emerging, and getting the community into the discussion and the decision-making process for everything that might emerge. But for that, definitely. If that sounds reasonable for folks.
I just wanted to add something, like I think it adds value if we have, let's say, a few marketplaces applying for the same, and we haven't seen that yet. And I hope we see that soon. I don't know if any marketplaces apply together for a single purpose solution, because I think a lot of us are wasting time building the same thing over and over again. Like, for example, I don't know, NFT Maker, I mean, you're probably building the same things we are, just a bit different, and the same smart contracts. And, you know, we have the, like, for example, I just thought, you know, imagine you have the community of JPEG and, you know, your payment solution in our auctions, for example. That would be like a super powerful, like one solution marketplace that we actually need on Cardano. So I'm not saying like we should all merge together, but I'm saying like if we all put our resources together and think of strategic ways that doesn't hurt our business, but at the same time we kind of collaborate and maybe together apply to Catalyst, I think that would be a better kind of like, okay, what are we doing together? Are we attracting artists? Are we attracting, you know, migrating them from Ethereum to Cardano? Yeah, this kind of thing. So, I mean, this is something we could talk about, of course, outside of the guild, but I think there's a big kind of value that's untapped in terms of collaboration. Yeah. I fully agree with Mateja. That's kind of what we need to do. Like, you know, doing the standards, doing the governance and all that is very important, and we need to do that. But I'm like, I don't know, it can also, you know, hinder things if you really try to, yeah, I mean, if we were to have a Catalyst decide the 7-to-1 standard, we wouldn't have a 7-to-1 standard. So you need to be kind of careful in what you want. Or not Catalyst, but the community. But it, like just having a forum where everyone comes together and talks about what they have been doing and what their current problems are, that's like the biggest thing we should, like that alone is reason for an NFT build, in my opinion.
Definitely one of the main goals. Yes, well, right. To exactly what happens here, because this is so fucking beautiful in the end. Just people start to get aware of each other and say, hey, maybe we should start to work with each other and coordinate a little bit our actions, right? This is exactly what needs to happen. And like mentioned again, NFT Guild, our goal is really to identify from a much broader vision what you guys need and to really look at how can we make your life easier by identifying what you need, bring it into Catalyst, submitting it as a proposal, and get the community coordinated. And when you then come together here and say, hey, that's actually pretty cool, let's organize something together with your projects. That's definitely, I would say one of the main goals, right? Because very often, yeah, like you said before, right, a standard, what actually is a standard? It's just something what people take for granted. Nobody has to call it a standard, but it's the best technical solution for at this moment. Everybody takes it, everybody applies to it, and it becomes a standard even without the need to calling it a standard. So to say here, if you simply coordinate your actions already, what you are doing on your own platforms and market spaces, there's a much better chance already on setting up this emerging standards simply by coordinating and avoiding a little bit duplications of efforts and whatnot. And that's it. And yeah, we are coming to the top of the hour. So I think a bunch of people have to jump in next calls as you are all busy. So at this point, thanks a lot for everyone for joining. Thanks a lot for taking the time and for participating. So we'll send the invite out for next week. Again, same time, same day, same time. We'll get to try already jpg.store, attendee, and Alessandro on board. This will be a challenge. Jeremy, we need you for this one. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can always say you need somebody else, right? But I think this is one of those things that has continuous momentum. And, you know, do you need jpg.store from day one? Or can jpg.store contribute on day 6 or day 10? So that would kind of be my advice to everyone here, is that, yeah, you will not have everyone joining an NFT Guild meeting if the NFT Guild doesn't show itself to be something meaningful. And I believe you guys have been doing that for quite a while. And the objective is to kind of continue that growth and get more people involved in cool, defined topics. I don't know who it was that said it, but somebody wanted to have a talk that says, you know, how do we kill Spotify? I think that might have been through Pierre with a music-focused like industry group, and that's something that's cool, right? It brings people together, you know. So you could think about stuff like that as well, but action is good action. So I'll leave it at that.
Beautiful ending. And with this, please, we have 4 minutes over time already. So let's stop the recording.